Hello, everyone. I'm Harvey Brownstone, and today's guest is a singer-songwriter whose beautiful songs and rich, silky voice reach straight into your heart. He incorporates his Texas roots in gospel and jazz into a musical style that is a mix of pop and R&B, combining silky, soulful vocals with emotionally powerful lyrics. He's released 9 albums, including Walk on Water, This Side of Goodbye, and Gospel of Zen, which was nominated for 3 2010 OutMusic Awards, including Album of the Year. His other albums include Unbound, Body and Soul, My 88 Keys, Volumes 1 and 2, and his collection of greatest hits entitled Then and Now, 10th Anniversary Edition. He also produced an album of piano compositions entitled Speechless. There's a strong spirituality in his lyrics, and through his songs and live performances, he's become a catalyst for positive change by conveying love, light, and clarity through the music. In fact, the Global Women's Empowerment Network selected his song Unbound as its theme song. Several months ago, our guest honored me in a very special and profound way by recording his latest single entitled IAmYours, which was written by the brilliant songwriter Harriet Schock and inspired by my struggles after coming out to my parents at the age of 19 and being rejected by them. His soulful and textured voice was the perfect vessel to convey the universal message of that song. The public response to the song created immense interest in the artist who sang it. And so today, by popular demand, I'm pleased to welcome the immensely talented Gary Lynn Floyd to our show. Gary, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you, Harvey. It's an honor to be with you this morning. Thanks for having me.
The honor is all mine. Gary, you've had quite the evolution as an artist. You've been writing songs since you were 14 years old. You were raised Southern Baptist, and you first became well known in the field of Christian music, but you've broadened your spiritual scope considerably since then, haven't you?
I have. I grew up in Texas in a Southern Baptist church and spent the first 10 years of my life singing contemporary Christian music. And you and I have very similar stories, although they're very different, but the universality and the things that we've been through are really similar. And I've become kind of like a sponge spiritually, and I just absorb the things that work for me and that resonate, and hope that through my music that gets conveyed to other people as well.
Who were your musical influences growing up?
Oh, Andre Crouch was a big influence of mine, mostly Christian artists, a guy named Tim Shepard, Amy Grant, of course. I was just really drawn to the spirituality and the way that they were able to communicate through the music.
Your CD entitled This Side of Goodbye really resonates with anyone who's been brokenhearted at the end of a relationship. Is it easier for you to be creative when you're in a state of anguish and sadness than when you're feeling happy and secure?
I could say it used to be. That particular CD I wrote after a breakup that I went through, and it just it took the whole full circle of a relationship from the beginning and through the difficult time of breaking up and moving on, and then coming full circle to just the lessons and the realizations that I came up with after being through that process.
I'm sitting here trying to imagine who in their right mind would want to break up with you. I mean, you're such a great guy. You sing like nobody else, and you've got such a good heart. So whatever happened, I hope that your life got way, way better.
It did, and it has. Now I don't necessarily need the angst to write music. I find that now the music that I write is it's just about the things that I've learned and how I still I'm still singing spiritual music after all these years. I started in Baptist church, and now I just have a much more open and universal spirituality that kind of includes everybody.
You performed a one-man show called When Gary Met Harry, the music of Harry Warren. He wrote one of my favorite songs, The Boulevard of Broken Dreams. What drew you to Harry Warren's music?
Oh, after I came out, I had been singing in church for years, and I wound up at a little cabaret piano bar in Dallas, Texas called John L's. It was, music kind of saved my life through that difficult time that I was going through. And I met a guy named Jim Caruso. He had a jazz trio called Wise Guys, and I became part of that trio. And as a result, I was exposed to a lot of the Great American Songbook that I had heard before, but I just had a lot more exposure to that. And Harry Warren was one of the writers that we sang a lot of songs from. And I just loved his music. I love the fact that he wrote a lot of songs for film, and I had this idea for a long time to do the show When Gary Met Harry, and finally was able to produce it in Los Angeles, and have done it a few more times. Love his music, love all the things that he did.
Your voice and his music is a perfect marriage. And I really hope you do that show again and that I get to see it, because I think it would be magic.
Thank you. I plan to do that hopefully in the next couple of years. I'll let you know when that happens.
You sang 3 very inspirational duets with Lainey Bernstein on her album entitled Living the Light. Your voices blend so beautifully together, don't you think?
I do. I met Lainey at the Center for Spiritual Living in Dallas, and we wrote a few songs. I was really honored that she included some of them on her album.
If you were to do a complete album of duets, who would you want to sing with?
Oh, wow. Amy Grant would be probably top on my list. And oh man, my heroes, James Taylor. Yeah, and I actually have a duo called Floyd Lula. That's a buddy of mine named Jamie Lula. We met about 10 years ago and have been writing songs ever since. And so we occasionally are able to go out together and sing together. And we have that familial harmony that's very cool, that just happens every once in a while when you hook up with someone to sing.
A few years ago, you released an album entitled Speechless, which is just you at the piano. What inspired you to make that album?
My friend Connie Keene was doing some meditations, and she hired me to underscore the meditations. She would send me meditations anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes long. And I just kind of let it flow and became the channel of the music. And I would turn on the meditation and would compose music that really just kind of came out in the moment. And as a result, I took the meditations, the spoken word off, and had these, wonderful creations of just piano music. And so I released it as Speechless, no words on that one. But yeah, I was honored to be able to work on that project with Connie. And then it just provided a lot of cool music that I listen back to and surprises me, because they were just kind of channeled moments of creation.
Well, they have a way of creating ambiance. So I find myself now, when I have company over, whether it's for dinner or just drinks or a short visit, I play that album and it creates warmth in the room. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but that's what I feel when I listen to it, is a lot of warmth.
Thank you so much. I think that just those moments of pure creation kind of come out in those songs. And yeah, I'm glad you play them.
Oh, I've become a huge fan. And one of the reasons is, when I listen to your lyrics, Gary, you're a real messenger of love. And you're an ambassador for the importance of finding and conveying love and positive energy in our lives. Where does that motivation come from?
It probably comes from the foundation that I had growing up in a Baptist church. And I can remember when I was 12 years old, feeling a calling to use my music to lift people up. And it has changed and evolved over time. And I'm very happy that people are still moved and uplifted by the music that I make. It's the reason that I started in the first place. And I'll continue to do it as long as I'm around.
You're just getting started, my friend.
Thank you.
You were profoundly affected by the book This Thing Called You by Ernest Holmes. Can you tell us about that?
Oh yeah, you know, it's great that you know that about this book. I had started dating my partner now in life. His name is Danny Miller, and we've been together for about 15 years. And I was playing music. I was playing the piano bars, and then I had a friend who also was in that world with me in Dallas called Michael Gott, and he was playing at a church. And at that point in my life, I was not really into playing at a church, and he would ask me if I would fill in for him when he was out of town. I finally relented and went to this church that was called the Center of Spiritual Living in Dallas. And when I started dating Danny, he knew me from the piano bars, and I had been doing a lot of musical theater at the time. And he said, "What's this church that you're playing at?" And I said, "It's the Center for Spiritual Living in Dallas." And, a lot of the teachings of Jesus, and then also a lot of teachings of a guy named Ernest Holmes. And he said, "Hang on a minute." And he left and he came back with the book, This Thing Called You, which I opened it up, and it resonated so completely with me. It I was fascinated how Ernest Holmes was used the teachings of Jesus that I had been brought up with, but in a more open and universal,
Inclusive.
inclusive way of, the main thing that hit me when I read the book was the idea, I still hold on to the idea that, behold, the kingdom of God is within you. And that is the stress of Ernest Holmes and a lot of the teachings in what's called the New Thought community of the world, which is that the kingdom of heaven is within us. And Jesus said the things that he could do, we could do. And it's just acknowledging the truth of who we are in a new fresh way that felt new to me, but it's really an old ancient teaching too.
You've been serving as the artist in residence at the Center for Spiritual Living in Reno. Tell us about the importance of that organization in your life.
Center for Spiritual Living has helped me to take responsibility for, I went through a really dark time in my life after I came out, and I didn't realize at the time that I had the power and the responsibility of how I thought about things, and that I really could change at least how I approached life if I would change the way that I thought about it. And that's one of the biggest things that's come into my life, being involved in progressive, what's progressive Christianity, I guess you'd call it, of just taking responsibility for who I was brought here to be, and trusting my intuition, trusting what spirit tells me, and how God moves me in ways. And for the longest time, I struggled with that because it didn't fit into the box that I had been brought up in. And so it took a long time and a lot of searching. And like I said earlier, I'm a sponge of spirituality. So I grew up in a fundamentalist kind of teaching, but I am much more open in just being one with who God created me to be.
I think you're not just more open, you're freer. You're not bound and shackled by thought processes that deny who and what you are.
Mm. It's taken a lot of time, and I'm still evolving, as we all are. And I just look at it as, every new day is a new opportunity to go a little deeper and figure out a little more of who I am and how I fit into the world and what I'm here to do.
Gary, the pandemic had a very profound impact on you creatively. You released your album, My 88 Keys, Volume 2, Quarantined, and your song Back to the Essence really embraces the concept of slowing down and being still and getting back to the essence of who we are. Did the pandemic help you find clarity within yourself?
It absolutely did. I had a lot of the pandemic was a cool way to slow down. And I had been running for, I guess, like all of us. I mean, we've been just creating and creating and creating and reinventing, and then all of a sudden everything stopped. And it was a really good opportunity for me to just do some house cleaning and to kind of question what I still wanted to take with me and then what I wanted to leave. And that particular song was written with my friend Jamie Lula. And we decided at that point, we were on tour in Southern California, and we decided at that point we would just meet every day on Zoom at 1:00 and either write songs or just talk and just figure out what we were going through. And that was one of the first songs that we wrote. And it was just, we just slowed down enough to, okay, I'm going to water the plants. I'm going to feed the dogs, and I'm going to just sit and try to get back to the essence of who I am and what I came here to do, and have a moment to breathe a little bit to figure out what all that was.
I love that song because it made me take stock of my life and where I was going. I want to mention to our viewers that your song Back to the Essence is also included in the Pandemic's Unmasked album, which features a number of artists. Gary, your 88 Keys Volume 2 album definitely gave me the impression that your creative juices did not dry up during the pandemic lockdown. Am I right?
Not at all. In fact, they just blossomed because I really took advantage of Zoom like we're doing. And Jamie and I wrote a lot of songs. I have another co-writer and artist named Karen Drucker, who I knew a little bit before the lockdown. And then we also began to write a lot on Zoom and just became really great friends using this technology. I did songwriter retreat that was on Zoom. And yeah, so I kind of thrived in the creativity aspect because I took advantage of not having to be in the same room with someone to write, but we could write over Zoom and just take advantage of the fact that we didn't have to be in the same city even to stay creative and connected.
Okay, Gary, let's talk about your latest single, I Am Yours, written by the fabulous Harriet Schock. When I first wrote to you to thank you for recording the song, you told me that the song really resonated with you as well as a gay man. Tell me about that.
First of all, I love Harriet Schock. I met her when I moved to Venice Beach from Texas back in the mid-90s. I just needed to get away, and so I went as far west as I could. This song in particular, my folks, it's about parental acceptance and about that whole, this song was so healing for me. My parents passed 17 years apart, but during the same week. My mom passed on June 28th of 2016, and my dad passed on June 30th of 1999. And Harriet actually reached out to me at the beginning of that week when I was commemorating the passing of my folks, and they were on my mind. And she reached out and she said, I have this song I would love for you to sing. You're the perfect voice that I want on the song. And when she sent it to me, I mean, from the very beginning of the song, it was inspired by your story, but Harriet has such a way of telling your story, but making it so universal that as I sang through it the first time, it felt like my story. And it was very overwhelming. I broke down. I couldn't finish the song the first time I sang through it because it resonated so much with me, especially the chorus being so healing of just her acknowledging the gifts that my parents gave me and then healing that part. It was a real healing moment for me, even, 40 years later, of 60 years later, of, dealing with what I felt was unacceptance and disappointment. But the healing that comes especially in the chorus of this song, it was just really profound for me. And I'm sure for you too. It's just such a beautiful story of your life and how all of us can identify with it.
I think the song has a universal appeal because most people have lived through experiences of not feeling accepted or approved of by their parents because of some aspect of their lives, maybe a choice of partner or a career choice or sexual orientation. And the message of the song that we are still their children and we still deserve their love is just so powerful, isn't it?
It is. And so healing in that evolution of just continuing to heal parts of ourselves as we move forward in life. And, You know, when she said, the loving, honest person you made of me, it acknowledges that I acknowledge the beautiful things that you gave me. And even though we had our difficulties in life, I've still become the person that you wanted me to be. And it's just such a beautiful healing song.
Yeah, Harriet is amazing. And the combination of your voice with her music and lyrics is magic. Now, for those of our viewers who have not yet heard Gary's recording of I Am Yours, he has graciously agreed to perform the song on our show. So sit back, relax, and open your hearts to the incredible artistry of Gary Lynn Floyd singing Harriet Schock's instant classic, I Am Yours.
Would I have risen to the top without rejection? Had I not been abandoned and reviled? Did I do all I did simply to show you I was worth the love you gave me as a child? When you discovered I was not the son you wanted, the words you uttered truly broke my heart. You asked why you survived the Holocaust, just to watch your dreams for me all fall apart. Like a sculptor who envisioned his art one way, only to discover something else. You shattered your creation into pieces, thinking less of it and therefore of yourself. But I am yours, I've always been. I carry all the gifts you've given me within, and through my life I'll prove myself to be the loving, honest person you made of me. The summer factory jobs plus typing endless papers, dirty houses that I cleaned to pay for food. When I came out against advice of law professors, and years later how they changed their attitude. When I reached the mountaintop, you finally softened, with hugs drenched in lost time and deep regret. As I held you, it was worth all I had gone through, for this moment that my heart would not forget. 'Cause I am yours, I've always been. I carry all the gifts you've given me within, and through my life I proved myself to be the loving, honest person you made of me. The young need to fly free and wild, but there's no chain that binds stronger, or bond that lasts longer than the one that links a parent and a child. I am yours, I've always been. I carry all the gifts you've given me within, and through my life I proved myself to be the loving, honest person you made of me.
Wow, Gary, that was beautiful. Thank you so much for doing that.
Thank you so much. And I'd like to thank Harriet too for reaching out to me to sing the vocal, not only because it's such a beautiful song, but the healing that I experienced by singing the song and working through the healing process even more. It just helped me to, even though my parents are gone, it helped me to connect with them in a way that I hadn't, and feel that forgiveness and healing. I felt like they were visiting me, through the whole process, and brought that into my world to help just move me forward.
I am positive that they weren't only visiting you, they were honoring you. They're proud of you. I have to tell you, Gary, that every time I hear this song, I feel like the pain and the heartache that I felt as a young man is being healed. And I'm glad you feel a healing energy when you perform it, because that's what you're conveying to us. There's a bit of a cry in your voice when you say, I am yours. And it's very, very effective. I'm so, so honored that you're the voice of this song. And I hope you're ready for all the accolades that are coming, because I know a hit when I hear one, and so do you. And that song has hit written all over it.
I agree. It was wonderful for me to be able to embody that. The things you hear are just the true feeling that I had as I sang the words that Harriet had written, and the melody is such a beautiful melody. Yeah, I'm glad all that came across.
Well, now I got a few ideas that I'd like to throw at you, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Number one, I'm starting to think that because your voice is so perfect with Harriet's music, I wonder whether you would ever consider doing an album of Harriet Schock songs, songs like You Are. You're perfect for that.
That's so funny. I would love that. That's a great idea. And interesting that you brought up that song You Are, because I was kind of looking back at some of Harriet's music, preparing to talk to you today. And that Rosebud album was in the same time that I was in Harriet's close orbit. And You Are and Worn Around the Edges on that CD, on that album. I love so much of her music. I was able to do a show with her and got to sing first time on a Ferris wheel. And I think that's a great idea, Harvey.
Yes, I think
Let's talk
an
to
album
Harriet about that.
Gary Lynn Floyd singing Harriet Schock is, I'm telling you, magic. And I really hope that you and Harriet collaborate again, because the two of you have definitely proven that you can create magic. And I'm glad you're going to talk to her about it, because I am too. Now, I have another suggestion for you.
Yes.
This is for Gary Lynn Floyd, the songwriter. I think that this whole experience demonstrates synchronicity. There's a certain destiny and synchronicity about you being selected to sing this song, you also having experienced feelings of angst and anxiety and seeking parental approval, and you singing a song that is about that, and you and I meeting, and me getting a chance to share my platform with you and bring you to a wider audience. I think there's a song there, Gary.
Okay. You want to co-write it? Let's write it together.
I don't have any. I could inspire a song. I don't think I could ever write one, nor could I sing one. But boy, I'm ready. I'll be the first in line to buy the song.
I'll put that on my list. I'm fortunate that I continue to write music. I've been writing music, since I wrote my first song when I was 14. So I've been writing for a long, long time. And it's always great to be inspired to write another song. So,
well, the thing is, there are many songs that are healing, but there are no songs I can think of about the power of a song to heal. And so the whole idea of this song coming to you and resonating with you, and also being a song that helped heal you and heal others, I think there's a song there about the healing quality of music when the right lyrics are attached to a melody. Anyway, I'll just leave it with you to marinate in that brilliant brain of yours.
I will do my best. I wanted to also mention, I don't know if you're aware of this, and I don't know if the recording exists still, but Harriet, back in the late 90s, I did a male version of Ain't No Way to Treat a Lady.
Okay, that's got to go on the album.
From the male perspective of, oh, you're right. That is no way to treat you. It was brilliant. And I was it was very cool that Harriet had the thought of doing a male version of that song. So I'll ask her if that still exists somewhere. I don't know if it does, but if not, we'll re-record it on that one.
That would be brilliant. I want to tell our viewers that you can download IAmYours on every major music streaming platform, and you can find the song and learn more about Gary Lynn Floyd and buy his music and see his concert schedule by going to his official website, GaryLynnFloyd.com. You can also follow him on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and you can see many of his performances on the Gary Lynn Floyd YouTube channel, which I encourage you to subscribe to because I'm there. Well, Gary, it's been such a pleasure meeting you and getting to interview you, and what a thrill to see you perform that very special song. Thank you so much for taking the time to come on our show.
Oh, thank you, Harvey. I really appreciate it. I hope that I know that I'll meet you in person one day. I'm looking forward to that.
Me too, and I want to see you perform live.
Great.
Our guest
we'll
has
figure that out. Thank you so much, Harvey.
Our guest has been singer-songwriter extraordinaire, Gary Lynn Floyd. Thank you to our producer, Steve Silver. Thank you to the wonderful Harriet Schock for introducing me to Gary. Thank you all for joining us. See you next time.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out all the great interviews on the Harvey Brownstone Interviews YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified when new videos are posted.